Defense News. It's proudly sponsored by Navy Federal Credit Union. If you're a member of our nation's armed forces, the Department of Defense, or if your family is, we'd be proud to serve you too.
On this episode of Defense News Weekly, more highlights from the world's biggest firearms and gear conference, SHOT Show in Las Vegas. On tap, a roundup of new optics at the show. See how you can see better on the firing range. Also, we hear from Air Force leadership on lessons learned from recent U.S. strikes on Iran. Finally, who moved the market in the defense industry this week? Defense Dollars brings you the headlines. It's the latest in news and analysis from the Pentagon to the platoon, here on Defense News Weekly. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. When it comes to firearms, one thing is always true. It always pays to be able to see what you're shooting at. At SHOT Show 2026, we canvassed the conference floor for the latest in optics from some of the biggest players in the space. Here's what we found.
Hi, my name's Chris and I'm the product manager for Trijicon Optics, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our 50,000 round torture test on the RCR. So during our development of any of our optics, we put them through a strenuous series of testing we call the science of brilliance. So that involves environmental testing, recoil, drop, and general just torture testing of our optics. And we wanted to show the public how our optics perform in the worst conditions. So we did the 50,000 round torture test. So during this test, we not only dropped it, we baked it, we froze it, we dunked it into water, sand, dirt, anything imaginable we did to this optic during this test. And we reconfirmed zero every 10,000 rounds just to make sure that the optic was still performing as it should. And it did. So for a full 50,000 rounds, this optic not only held zero, but maintained full functionality throughout the entire 50,000 rounds of testing. So this case not only displays the optic with the pistol it was tested on, but it also has the full 50,000 rounds in it, just to kind of give you the amount of volume that this optic has been shot. One of the reasons we test to the high standard that we do is because we know that our optics are being used by professionals in the real world, that their lives are depending on the functionality of that optic. So we test to a high standard, and we wanted to demonstrate that high standard with the 50K torture test.
Hey guys, Adam here at HoloSun, SHOT Show 2026, and I'm gonna run you through what's new for HoloSun. So to start with this guy right here, and this is the new Ames Evo, and this guy has about a 30% larger screen field of view than the Ames Pro X2, but a little bit smaller than the Ames Max. Gives you a nice middle ground to be on. Now, for those of you who like the finer things in life, maybe a little bit of night vision, we have the Ames Evo Dual, which is this guy right here, and this gives you a IR laser and a visible laser built in. It also runs off a CR123A battery in the side here and gives you a couple different options in terms of that night vision compatibility, or if you're doing something else, you need that visible laser for other applications. Now, if you, again, like those finer things in life and you prefer those T1, T2 footprints, that's this guy right here. And this is going to be our Aero Evo Dual. Again, visible laser and IR laser, CR123A mounted on the side, and a T1, T2 footprint. Now, both the Ames Evo Dual and the Aero Evo Dual do offer the solar panel, so for solar failsafe. They also have crane switches and crane ports in the back, so you can activate those lasers doing that. Lots of different options here, guys, in terms of that night vision stuff. Now, you may be thinking, all right, so I've got a visible laser or an IR laser. I don't have an illuminator. We already had that covered, guys, and that is our new Iris Arc. This guy is an IR illuminator only. It has a throw of a 3 degree to a 40 degree, so pretty much you have a narrow beam or a wide open. Has a industry scout mount, so you're used to that. A push pad in the back, pressure switch, as well as a crane port. Nice compact size, great for handheld, mounting your rifle, or on your helmet as well. Then we've got our new 3X magnifier. This is a shrunk down version. Those of you with PDWs, maybe like me doing some bullpup stuff, this gives you that compact package on those shorter rails that can be closer up to your face for that eye relief. Moving into our pistols, very excited for these. We have our new 507 Pro Max. Really cool package here, guys. Giant field of view, still has the RMR footprint, our performance reticle system, and we've also added the solar panels back on top. We do listen, guys, and we wanted to come back with those solar panels for solar failsafe. Comparing it to that 507 comp, that's about that size difference. It's a very, very large optic, guys, but it'd be great for what you need to use it for. Now, in line with that 507 comp, this is actually a 407 comp. Same optic, except now it's a 6 MOA dot only. Both of these are gonna come in red, green, or gold, as well as all the new rifle optics as well, for those that maybe are colorblind and need that extra help with that gold reticle. Our 507 and 407C now has a redesign with the 507 or 407C X3, and it has that canted forward lip at the top, solar panels up on top, subdued lettering, and guys, just a great overall optic to keep you going. Now, again, those finer things in life, you want that enclosed optic. We do have the EPS core. This is new. We do listen, guys, again, and a lot of you guys like the EPS carry from the slimline mounting that did not hang over your Glock 43s, your Masada Slims, things like that, but you wanted bigger glass. We've in essence put the EPS glass up on top with EPS carry in terms of the slimline mount. Still gonna fit RMSC, that modified, that K footprint, but again, giant field of view out of that glass with that real small footprint. Red, green, or gold. It's also gonna have a 3 MOA version only as well for those that like that. Next one that I'm really excited about, guys, this is the new Ames Macro. So this guy is a 509T footprint, 0 magnification glass, 0 distortion glass. This is gonna be great for those of you that want that fully enclosed optic for competition, for self-defense, whatever you're looking for, and it's a great offset on a rifle as well. Now, one of the things that a lot of you guys are gonna like, because I put up with a lot on the internet from some of you, is an acro footprint. This is the Ames Micro. The Ames Micro is compatible with acro footprints. Again, it's gonna have that 0 distortion glass, 0 magnification, solar panels on top, red, green, or gold, multi-reticle system. It has its own footprint, but again, it is compatible with that acro footprint. Now, real quick, guys, the Ames Micro does come with an RMSC to Ames Micro plate. The Ames Macro comes with a RMR to 509T plate. So you have options to mount either one of those straight out of the box with those plate systems. Guys, that's HoloSun 2026 SHOT Show coverage. Hopefully you guys liked it.
When we come back, Air Force leaders explore ways to improve readiness. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Defense News Weekly. The Air Force in recent years has been looking to improve its readiness to fight. It wants more planes prepared to go into battle at any given moment. At a recent conference sponsored by the Air and Space Forces Association's Mitchell Institute, top leaders said surprise inspections and better procurement practices were part of the solution. Have a look.
At the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies' recent forum near the Pentagon, one big topic was on leaders' minds: making the Air Force more prepared for future conflicts.
They have given us a focus that I frankly don't think we've seen inside of the Pentagon for a while. And that focus allows us to worry about what we need to worry about, which is flying and fixing airplanes.
Taking lessons from recent real-world events, Air Force leaders used the Midnight Hammer strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities as an example of where the force stands to improve. Specifically, Lieutenant General Jason Armagost, Deputy Commander of Air Force Global Strike Command, said the service must improve communications with bombers and other aircraft flying into battle. That includes making sure mission commanders can transmit their go orders to other aircraft or the status of their forces.
It's really important as we kind of decide the strategic nature of our stand-in, stand-off, and our kill chains and our command and control. If we do not architect our comms better going forward, that is a foul on us, big time. Because if that package is not able to, in a low probability detect and or low probability of intercept way, able to communicate the status of their forces and the go from the mission commander, then that is bad on all of us.
Major Claire Rudolph, Chief of Weapons and Tactics for U.S. Air Force's Central Command, agreed, but cautioned that shouldn't mean combatant commanders start making cockpit decisions for air crews.
I think it's really interesting as we talk about, what if we had this network where everybody was able to talk to everybody all the time? There are a couple of effects that we care about. You care about getting intelligence into the cockpit. You care about getting targets into the cockpit, orders, authorizations into the cockpit. But the problem is, once you can connect, like let's imagine you have a wire direct from the CENTCOM commander to the cockpit of every B-2 or the cockpit of every F-16, there's liability there to add latency and maybe decision-making authority without all of the awareness. And so I think as we tread into 100% agree, sir, we have to improve our communications capabilities, but we also have to be very careful to bound the authority that ends up touching the cockpit, because otherwise we're at risk for involving folks in the decision-making process that frankly have no business being there.
Armagost also talked about the role for the Air Force's upcoming stealth bomber, the B-21 Raider, in future penetrating strike missions. The Northrop Grumman B-21, the first 6th-generation bomber, is slated to have cutting-edge data-sharing capabilities. Armagost said the Air Force wants to take advantage of those capabilities to improve command and control. And with the B-21 in the Air Force's arsenal, Armagost said a mission like Midnight Hammer will be very different and in some ways easier than today.
Now we have the opportunity with B-21 and family of systems to be different again. But it is going to require us to think about the right numbers of aircraft, because if you want to campaign, if you want to deter, actually, you're going to have the ability to not just have capability, but a capability presence that comes from just sheer numbers.
Another hot topic from the Mitchell Institute Forum, the urgent need to ensure the Air Force is battle-ready through inspections and improved logistics for critical spare parts for planes like the F-35. Lieutenant General Scott Ployce, Acting Vice Chief of Staff for the Air Force, said no-notice inspections are key, and failed inspections will bring scrutiny on commanders in charge.
Under Chief Wilsbach and Secretary Mink, they have reinstituted combat readiness inspections. They are no-notice. It is not the, hey, there's a KC-135 on short final that's containing 100 people from the IGT. I remember those days. It's not that, but it's no notice. It's still a group of inspectors that come in and they're going to evaluate credits. The second thing, I go back to, I'm sorry, I keep harping on this. This is commanders' business. And we're going to hold commanders responsible for that, because that is 100% in their will, in their thoughts. If they fail an inspection, that is a commander's fault. And we will hold them accountable as we move forward.
The Air Force has struggled for years with declining readiness rates, even as the aircraft fleet has shrunk. Previous administrations have concentrated on modernizing the fleet, Ployce said, sometimes at the expense of existing aircraft's readiness. But Air Force Secretary Troy Mink and Chief of Staff General Kenneth Wilsbach are changing that, Ployce said.
Frankly, we have, at the expense of modernization, we took risks in readiness. And so what we did was, with a budget, arguably fairly flat, starting in the mid-2000s, small increase for inflation. You have to make a decision. You spend it on brand new things like new modernization of airplanes, or you spend it on readiness. And the leadership at the time said we were going to spend it on modernization and we're going to take risks to readiness. The Secretary Mink and Chief Wilsbach are explicitly clear. Readiness is our focus right now.
Many times, Air Force planes are grounded because maintainers simply don't have the spare parts on hand to fix them. Ployce said that needs to change, and the service is talking to Congress to ensure it has money to buy spare parts.
What we are doing right now is we are now saying we've got to buy parts. We've got to have the parts available so that General Bell's maintenance folks that are out there wrenching on the flight each every day, in the cold, in the rain, in the heat, have the parts they need so they can fix those airplanes, and then we can get them everywhere in. What we are doing right now is we are still focusing on modernization, but not at the expense of readiness. And so we are dumping a bunch of our money from budgets, working with Congress, working with inside of our own institution, and also working with the Department of War to make sure that we have the parts in place and we have the skills necessary that we can execute to flying our program.
For Defense News and Air Force Times, I'm Stephen Losey.
When we come back, tips to prepare your finances before you head out on deployment. And later, the latest in financial news from the defense industry. Stay with us. Welcome back. There are a lot of things to think about before you head out on deployment. On this episode of Money Minute, Jeanette Mack from Navy Federal Credit Union gives you tips for organizing your finances before leaving for a long mission.
Being deployment ready is a must, but before you pack your duffel bag, let's make sure your money's good to go. First up, your paycheck. Hopefully you're in the know about your possible extra pay or allowances while you're deployed. They could mean more money in your pocket. So review your LES or leave and earnings statements and think about using extra funds to pay off debt or stash in savings. Next, make bill paying a breeze. Set up auto payments for regular bills like rent, utilities, even streaming services, so nothing slips through the cracks while you're away. Make sure you've downloaded mobile banking apps for quick access to your accounts no matter where you're stationed. And finally, know your rights and safeguards. Setting up active duty alerts with the credit bureaus helps shield you from identity theft. And federal laws like the Service Members Civil Relief Act, or SCRA, offer lower interest rates and other protections so you can focus on the mission, not your credit. With just a few smart moves, taps, and clicks, you can keep your finances in formation. Review your pay, automate your bills, use your protections, and you'll be ready for takeoff wherever duty calls.
To get more coverage of military and defense topics, take command and aim your heads-up display at militarytimes.com and defensenews.com for more headlines. And to be the most knowledgeable fighter pilot in the skies, sign up for our Early Bird Brief, compiled each morning to bring you the most recent news. Finally, if social media is where you collect open source intelligence, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. And for you junior troops, we're on TikTok, so go follow us there as well. When we return, Defense Dollars is back to break down the latest in defense industry financial news. Stay tuned. Welcome back. With major initiatives such as the Golden Dome and increased defense spending making for hot topics in Washington, there's a lot of business news to cover. Defense Dollars returns with the latest. Have a look.
Welcome to Defense Dollars, your update on the defense and aerospace markets around the world and what is making the numbers move. Let's dive in. Lockheed Martin is significantly expanding production of its Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, better known as THAAD, following a new agreement with the U.S. Department of Defense. The deal calls for a major scale-up in interceptor manufacturing, with annual output expected to grow from under 100 today to as many as 400 per year in the coming years. A move aimed at strengthening missile defense capabilities for the United States as well as its allies. The expansion comes as global security concerns drive demand for advanced air and missile defense systems. According to company as well as industry reports, the Pentagon is accelerating procurement to rebuild inventories and prepare for higher operational tempos. For Lockheed Martin, that means multi-billion-dollar investments into manufacturing, supply chains, as well as workforce, as the company moves to meet long-term defense requirements and maintain production at scale. Supporting that effort, Lockheed Martin has broken ground on a new manufacturing facility in Camden, Arkansas. The site is designed to increase output of THAAD interceptors and other precision-guided missile systems using advanced automation and digital production tools. Company leaders say the facility will play a key role in expanding the U.S. defense industrial base while also bringing new jobs and economic activity to the region. Meanwhile, in market and defense sector news, York Space Systems made a strong debut on the New York Stock Exchange recently, opening at $38 a share, about 12% above its IPO price, valuing the company at nearly $4.75 billion. Investor interest has been driven by the company's positioning in the space and defense sector, including its potential role in President Donald Trump's Golden Dome missile defense initiative. CEO Dirk Wallinger told CNBC the company could provide satellite infrastructure and systems in support of the program. Meanwhile, space infrastructure firm Redwire saw its stock jump roughly 28% after being named as a vendor on a massive defense contract worth up to $151 billion tied to the Golden Dome. The company specializes in space systems, drones, as well as advanced sensors. And while the designation does not guarantee immediate revenue, investors appear to be betting on expanded government spending in the years ahead. Analysts say the market moves reflect broader momentum around U.S. missile defense investment as the Golden Dome concept gains policy traction. At the same time, experts caution the program remains in early stages and faces significant technical as well as cost challenges, even as defense and space companies position for future contract opportunities. And one more before you go. RTX's Raytheon business has been selected by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, to develop a maritime defense system under the Pulling Guard program. The project centers on a tethered drone-based sensor and targeting platform designed to help protect commercial shipping and naval logistics vessels from emerging unmanned surface threats, using advanced EO and infrared sensors along with real-time command and control technology. In related news, Raytheon also announced a successful ballistic test of its contender for the U.S. Army's next-generation short-range interceptor, or NGSRI, a shoulder-launched missile designed to track as well as engage drone threats. The company funded the test to validate performance and support future flight demonstrations for ground forces. The NGSRI is intended as a potential replacement for the Army's aging Stinger missile system. Lockheed Martin also successfully tested their design for the program just last month. Analysts say these developments highlight RTX's broad defense portfolio across land, sea, and air as the Pentagon pushes to field next-gen sensing, interceptor, and unmanned systems. And that'll wrap up your defense dollars for this week. Join us on cheddar.com and defensenews.com for more stories like those.
Well, that's all the time we have in this episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.